All right, man. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I just got off the flow. It was originally reported, and I immediately fell to my knees. But I am composed myself, and I promise I'm not gonna go too off the rails. Yesterday, we saw the biggest and most unexpected trade in the history of basketball. We're a couple days away from the deadline, and more things are happening. And De'Aaron Fox plays for the Spurs now. De'Aaron Fox plays for the Spurs now. Let's talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. You thought yesterday some team got finessed? Damn it, a couple teams got finessed in this trade. The Spurs walk out with De'Aaron Fox and J-Mac. The Kings get Zach LaVine, C.D. Sadoko, 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, and the Bulls get Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their own 2025 first. Listen, let's start off on the positive note. The Spurs absolutely destroy and they win this trade, right? If you haven't been keeping up, De'Aaron Fox didn't literally request a trade, but Rich Paul was talking to the Sacramento Kings and said, hey, it makes sense for y'all to shop us because once De'Aaron's a free agent in 2026, he wants to go play for the Spurs. And the question was, from the Spurs perspective, do you want to trade assets? Do you want to trade things if you know a player wants to play for you in a year and a half anyway? You know, I compared it to like when Carmelo Anthony told the world he wanted to play for the Knicks, and the Knicks traded for him instead of waiting 6 months when they could have just straight signed him. It's a little bit different because instead of it being 6 months, it's a year and a half, but I was a bit skeptical on whether or not they should do it. This is a no-brainer now that I see what they gave up. The reason I was skeptical on whether or not they should do it, because in my mind, in order to do a De'Aaron Fox trade, you have to throw at least one of Castle, Vassell, or Sohan in the deal. The Kings walked out with none of those dudes. Let me break down to you what the Kings got back in return. The Kings said they wanted a player that can help them stay afloat. Zach LaVine, he won an all-star, but damn it, look at his numbers. He's been an all-star caliber player all season long. He's phenomenal. I'm so sad to see him go. I'll be honest with you. They got C. Sudoku. Who the hell knows what's going to happen to him? They got 3 first-round picks. Kenny, 3 first-round picks is great, ain't it? It's not. It's not. This first-round pick looks so... Charlotte, first-round pick? Charlotte is ass. That pick is top 14 protected this year. Top 14. Charlotte Hornets, like 5th pick this year, right? Maybe 1st. Who knows? And if it doesn't get conveyed this year, it turns to 2 second-round picks. So that's like one of the first-round picks that you tell your fan base you got, even though everybody and their mama who just did one little Google search can find out that's not a real first-round pick. This Spurs one is an interesting one. 2027. That's right after De'Aaron Fox signs his new extension. But remember, they're gonna have Wemby and De'Aaron Fox. That pick, who knows? Who knows at the end of the day? We don't really know. But if we were taking a guess right now, that pick is not as valuable as you might want to. The 2031 Minnesota pick is interesting. That's the one for sure that I'm like, okay, thumbs up. But I will remind you, if we go to Tankathon right here, if we just go to Tankathon here, the Spurs have the Atlanta Hawks first round pick this year. The Atlanta Hawks are 2-8 in their last 10. They're currently on an 8-game losing streak. Jalen Johnson is out for the season. In my mind, if you traded for De'Aaron Fox, you had to give up Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, or Jeremy Sohan, one of those 3, and 100% you get some Atlanta Hawks picks. Nah, they didn't get any of those things. How? How is it possible that they got none of those things? Because again, the first pick they got in this trade, 2020, this is not a real pick. That's not a real first rounder. These are real first rounders, but who the hell knows? Anthony Edwards is still in Minnesota at this point, maybe. Wemby is still here. De'Aaron Fox is still there. The Spurs just upgraded so great, and now Wemby has a true co-star alongside him, man. And I can't imagine how good of a fit this is. Like, when I thought about the archetype of point guard I really wanted to see alongside Wemby, De'Aaron Fox kind of fits everything there. The only thing De'Aaron Fox doesn't do enough is be able to hit the three-point shot consistently, but I feel like that is something that we can gloss over a little bit because we have this 7'4" freak of monster that can hit logo threes on command. The San Antonio Spurs don't have players other than like Keldon Johnson that put pressure on the rim. Chris Paul, as good as he can be at the age of 39, he doesn't get any feet into the paint anymore. De'Aaron Fox, Mr. Swiper, Mr. Fastest player in the league by many statistics, he's on the team with Wemby. One thing De'Aaron Fox does amazingly is getting around that corner. Can you imagine you have to pick your poison on whether or not you want to jump out to the 7'4" demigod shooting the 3 or get to the basket or prevent this fast-ass monster from getting to the basket? Pick your poison. It's still poison at the end of the day. This is a great fit. And it's even better because, listen, again, without trading one of those 3 young players, at the end of the day, I don't, if I'm making a prediction, I don't think when it matters the most, when the Spurs are really competitive to win a championship, that De'Aaron, Wemby, Sohan, Castle, and Vassell are all on the team together. I feel like it's unrealistic. We're going to find out, oh, this player maybe just not the greatest fit. Stephon Castle's lack of shooting with De'Aaron Fox on the court, too, it might not be the greatest fit. But the fact that they kept all of these players to figure that out, give them the reps to play together before they make a big decision on who they want to build around, build with, is insane to me. This is an A+, AA+ from the San Antonio Spurs. The only thing I can maybe take away from it is like, could there have been a different player available in the summertime? De'Aaron Fox is what? He's one of the what does the Ringer got him? I don't know if the Ringer is the Ringer top 100. I don't know if the Ringer is the most reputable source when it comes to ranking players, but it's the one I always go to because it's so easy to reference. Right now, they got De'Aaron Fox as the 19th best player in the league right now. Cool. The question is, with this same package, and considering you could have thrown Sohan in here, or Vassell in here, or Castle in here, whatever, could somebody that is in, go back to this list, could somebody in the top 10 be available this offseason? Maybe, right? That's the only thing that I'm like, a small gripe. If they would just waited a little bit longer, maybe there's an opportunity to get somebody better than De'Aaron Fox. But again, who knows? They were dealt this hand, and they said, we'll take it, because it's not going to cost us a ton. So shout out to the San Antonio Spurs. Let's talk about it from the Kings' perspective again. Not getting the Atlanta Hawks draft pick is crazy. Not getting one of the younger players on top of this is crazy because they had an opportunity. Not the opportunity to, but it's not like this is some financial constraints that prevent them from bringing in Jeremy Sohan. No. They could have got it done. They just didn't. They didn't have the leverage. They didn't, I don't know. I would have told them to keep that Charlotte pick. We know that ain't nothing. I want one of the young players. One of the young players, because that's what? It was reported that 13 to 14 different teams called about De'Aaron Fox. Why not use the Orlando Magic for reference? The Orlando Magic is leverage in this trade. The Orlando Magic give us a young player, and they give us, just making some shit up. They give us a young player in Anthony Black. They giving us a defensive man. We need some defense over here. They give us John Isaac and draft capital. If you want to compete, you better give me Jeremy Sohan, boy. Nothing. R.C. Buford and company, I guess they don't negotiate. They tell you, we're going to take De'Aaron Fox. You're going to get this. You just got to say yes. I guess. I don't love this for the Kings at all. I'll be honest with you. I love Zach LaVine. He is my third favorite Bull of all time. The only people above him that I got to see, because you know MJ, he number one, but I didn't get to see him play live. I watched all the Hardwood Classics, whatever. It is Derrick Rose number one. It is Joakim Noah number two. It is Zach LaVine number three. So it hurts my heart that Zach is being traded, but I feel like this has been rumored for 2.5 years. Vivek has been obsessed with Zach LaVine since 5 years ago when he hit restricted free agency and Vivek threw him an offer sheet. They love Zach LaVine over there. So if there's any silver lining, Zach is going to an organization that you got a reference that say that they love you over there. But this is literally Chicago Bulls West. Malik Monk is Kobe White. Zach LaVine is Zach LaVine. DeMar DeRozan is DeMar DeRozan. Keegan Murray is Patrick Williams. And Domantas Sabonis is Vucevic. Same team. Now, this team has a higher ceiling and a higher floor than that because Domantas Sabonis is better than Vucevic. But still, there's a ceiling to this, even after the trade. Even after the trade. And when you miss the playoffs for 17 straight seasons, I kind of understand, like, we can't go all youth. We can't just trade one of the best players in our franchise history for a bunch of young guys. I understand that. But to get, like, none of the young guys is kind of insane to me. I just don't know what the fit is, man. For what it's worth, Malik Monk has been really good. In the games, like the game that I remember watching the most recently with no De'Aaron Fox was that game against the Boston Celtics in Boston. Malik Monk was incredible in that game as the facilitator, as a true one. So I don't know how he translates for the rest of the season this way, but it feels weird to have him be my starting point guard here, right? This is a team that last year, when they went on that little run and ultimately fell short, but when they got things going, it's when their defense turned the corner, when Keon Ellis was in that lineup. And this season, when Doug Christie took over the defense, snapped back in, a lineup of Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Sabonis, and Keegan Murray is not moving nobody defensively. I guess you're going back to the old model from a few years ago, outscore, because I think the offense can be insane. I'm excited to see Zach LaVine in that dribble handoff with Domantas Sabonis, but nobody's looking at that team and saying, hey, that's the one. When I was on the floor after this trade got announced, I got a FaceTime from somebody in the league. And their number one question to me, because they know that I rep my Bulls, how do did the Bulls walk out of here with 0 picks again? How did the Bulls walk out of here with 0 picks again? Kenny, again, what do you mean? This last offseason, we traded DeMar DeRozan to the Sacramento Kings. Do you remember that? It was a sign trade. The Bulls signed DeMar DeRozan, traded him to the Sacramento Kings. Oh, yeah, the Spurs got the first round pick because they took in Harrison Barnes. You remember also in this offseason, we traded Alex Caruso to a team with 17 first round picks and we got 0? You remember that one? Okay. All right. What is with this front office and not being able to properly assess their asset enough to get any draft capital? And listen, I'm not going to act like DeMar DeRozan was worth the first, but damn it, if the Spurs get a first for taking in Harrison Barnes, how does that first not come? Oh, yeah, the reason it doesn't come from us, because the Spurs tell you what you're going to do. The OKC Thunder have 17 firsts and 37,000 second-round picks. We didn't get none of those. And then in this trade, only thing we got is salary relief and then our own first-round pick back. And for y'all that don't know, the Bulls pick this season was top 10 protected. If it fell to number 11 or anything, other than that, it went to the Spurs. So now we don't have to worry about the Bulls falling out of top 10. We could just say, hey, no matter what it is, we get our own pick. The only silver lining to this is that if this pick didn't convey this year, the next year it's unprotected. This is basically what the Atlanta Hawks are going through right now, where the Atlanta Hawks didn't expect to be this bad. But now that Jalen Johnson is out with his injury, they're just going to plummet. The Bulls were in a world that, let's say we did end up with the 9th overall pick this year. Next year, the Spurs get the pick unprotected. That doesn't give us an opportunity to really go into a tank. So if there's anything that's cool here, our own rights is cool. But why how do we not get our own second-round pick back? Again, I'm pulling hairs here. We're talking about a second-round pick, the 39th overall pick in this year's draft. I'm not going to act like this is the future Jokic or a future Draymond Green or a future Paul Millsap, but damn it could be. How do we not even get our own second-round pick back when we gave you an all-star caliber player? It is insane. Insane. Now, there was another report that said the Bulls are not done. So, this trade is done, but the Bulls are probably going to move Vucevic in the next 2 days or so. I would love to get a player back to root for, but these guys won't be on the roster next season. I think Kevin Huerter has to be because he has a player option for $17 million, and he will be crazy not to take a player option. He's shooting 20-some% from 3, if I'm not mistaken. This is real life of fleecing by one team to 2 teams. Real life. I'm just so confused on it. Now I'm confused from the Spurs perspective. The only thing that does kind of suck, I'm a Stephon Castle guy. He was my number 1 prospect coming into this year's draft. I loved his defensive intensity. You know, the number 1 thing when we talked to him, he was saying that he is a point guard at this next level. He wants to be a point guard at this next level. And when he got drafted to Spurs, we were like, yes, that gives him an opportunity to be a point guard with Wemby. And then Chris Paul ended up being on the team. Like, okay, no big deal. That he gets to learn under Chris Paul for a year. And the next season, he's the full-time point guard. And now they literally traded for a point guard. So Stephon Castle's dream of being the one man is kind of there right now because De'Aaron Fox is that one. Right? So that's the one thing that's kind of sad about it all. But at the end of the day, you got an all-star caliber player for some assets that you didn't really give a damn about. If I'm being honest with you. I don't love this from anybody other than the Spurs. Is that crazy? I'm going to really miss Zach LaVine. If you remember my video from 2 weeks ago, I said that because of the way things are going, if Zach LaVine ended up being a Bull for the rest of the season, I'm just making sure that nothing else is breaking. If Zach LaVine ended up being a Bull for the rest of the season, I wasn't going to be too upset about it. Because I just like watching Zach LaVine. I like rooting for Zach LaVine. I can still root for Zach, but I wish the trade that he was a part of would have been to a situation that benefits him more. Like, DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine just split up this offseason. And that has not, I'm not saying that they hated each other, they didn't like playing together, but you see how good Zach LaVine has been this year, right? And how him taking second fiddle and third fiddle, you know what? Him being second fiddle is probably the best for his career. No team led by Zach LaVine offensively is going to win a championship, that's for sure. But them being right back together, I just wish he would have been traded to a different situation. There was rumors, and Mark Stein just tweeted about this, that the Warriors were thinking about doing a trade where they got Vooch and Zach LaVine. I would have loved that. He doesn't have to be 1A here, but he's playing number 2 to one of the greatest players of all time. This really hurts, I think, Keegan Murray. Right? Keegan Murray goes back to being the 4th option. And granted, Keegan Murray hasn't been incredible the last season and a half. But I'm just thinking about small stuff like that may get pushed under the rug just a little bit. I'm excited to see DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine in the dribble handoff with Sabonis. Because Sabonis is that good of a player where he can help you elevate your game. I think the spacing is going to be an interesting thing with the Kings now. It's just a lot. It's a lot of different factors. And the one thing that is, I guess, interesting is that I don't know if you remember, Zach LaVine has been in the rumors for the last 2 years, right? And last year, the world was telling us in order to move Zach LaVine, you're going to have to give up an asset, right? His contract is too bad. Now we didn't have to give up a first round pick. We didn't have to give up second round pick. So Zach LaVine played his way back. And everybody, I kid you not, and I'm not acting like I got a gazillion sources or a gazillion people in the NBA that I'm tight with. The people in the NBA respect Zach LaVine as an offensive threat. They know that this man can take over a quarter or two or three or the entire goddamn game. And I wonder what his role looks like on this team, man. As a Zach LaVine fan, this is one of the worst places I feel like he could have got traded to. And maybe that's just me being selfish and living in the moment, because that's what we do. We do live reactions to these trades, 0 cuts. We just talk about the trades. But I absolutely hate this fit for him. I just do. I think that's where I'll leave it for now. You let me know. This is so insane. De'Aaron Fox on the Spurs. Him and Wembanyama. And Vassell. And Castle. And Sohan. This is pretty cool stuff. I'm excited. I'm excited about that part. A+ for the Spurs. D for the Kings. D- for the Bulls. Bye.